Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to walk through the We Trust Youth Problem Solving Community Workshop 1 list of recommendations. Where we're focusing on two major topics, the first being on building donor and iNGO capacity to effectively serve young people and youth-led efforts. Hello. Based on your experience in this field, why is this something that we need to tackle?
We Trust Youth, we really believe that most capacity building efforts are seen as a one-way street, like building capacity from the donor or NGO side to youth or vice versa. But we think that most of these capacity building efforts end up being out of touch and end up in power imbalances. So that's why we are tackling this fundamental problem.
Brilliant. What does it mean to work with a donor or iNGO who is yet to invest in their own capacities? Can you share with us an example, Mariana?
Yes. So the examples we gave during the workshop were mainly focused on how a lot of resources are wasted and we are not getting the level of engaging and effective participation that we could be getting when donors have not invested in their capacity. For instance, sometimes they are not asking for meaningful consultation. They ask for superficial things in which youth has no context or no information, and they are limited to the feedback they can give. Or also, young people have to be so focused and fitting with the language and requirements that the donor is looking for, which ends up putting them inside a box from which they can't get out to innovate, to think of further solutions, and to create an intergenerational dialogue because they're too busy trying to appear professional according to the iNGO or the donor standards.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, what does it mean to work with an iNGO or donor who has invested in their capacities? What have you figured out that others have not?
Yeah, I'd say that the first characteristic that defines the rest of the work is donors being conscious that young people are experts in their work, in the field work they do, in the work they do in their communities. They're not necessarily experts in the language and work of iNGOs and donors. They are the experts in their work. And when we understand these two sides, we can create strategies of communication in the same language, of appreciating what each other has to teach the other, and we can reduce all these paperwork issues and administrative issues that sometimes are limiting the extents with which we can create productive and efficient intergenerational dialogue for solution making.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hilal, back over to you. What key actions and initial steps can institutions take to invest in themselves to be better partner for youth-led entities? What would it take?
Yeah, so we actually have some great takeaways from our workshop, and we talk about three pillars of practical recommendations for donors and NGOs. These could be, of course, standalone actions, but in an ideal scenario, there are complementary actions. So we think about one, values, two, people, and three, impact. So what we mean by values is that we encourage donors and NGOs to review their organizational values and guiding mission and vision, and assess how much of that is actually aligned with equitably working with young people and youth-led organizations. So really grounding their work in values and principles that are collaborative and equitable. And second, we talk about the people. So we encourage, again, donors and NGOs to hire and retain staff that have experience working with young people. And also who value this collaborative work with youth efforts. And for this, they could, add requirements to their job descriptions or performance reviews. So there are a lot of practical actions that, that could be taken in terms of human resources. And last but not least, we talk about impact. So measuring your impact to support this accountability work. And to make this in a practical recommendation, it might be best to consult with your youth partners on what they think it's important in measuring success and measuring accountability so that you can integrate these indicators into your work. So this is how we rounded up our first workshop.
Brilliant. Thank you both so much for joining us today. And thank you everyone for watching this